just decided to go live. I really hate that YouTube is inconsistent like that. Few notes. Oh yeah, the cigar caffeine correlation and update from late nicotine. Yeah, the update. Having nicotine late kept me up, and I started smoking when I ran out of coffee. So there is a correlation there. I've just been distracted by a thought. See, late in Yang Chu's Secret Garden or Garden of Pleasure, whatever you want to, whatever the title version you want to say. Yeah, it is said, if a society requires of a man that he should harm even a single hair on his head, then it is not moral or just. And therefore, it is not moral or just that he should harm even a single hair on his head for that society. And the consequences of that, if you are only presented with societies that all require you to harm a single hair on your head, is that you reject that society, and being without society, you are sacrificing yourself to God. So if you reject that and say, okay, you require me to harm even a single hair on my head, you require me to do some form of harm to myself in whatever capacity for your society, whether it be making you wear a uniform, branding as traditionally for slaves and cattle, or making you cut your hair. Rejecting that society is more powerful, because if they consider you part of that society and they're trying to require that of you, you are better off to play the role of ultimate sacrifice, shoulder the burden of the world, and starve to death. It's better, and the society is better, because if you are valuable, if you really are valuable, and the only reason they're having you sacrifice yourself for them is for some arbitrary doctrine, then they are idolatrous. It's not meritocratic. It's for a sake not related to the actual work, which makes it purely aesthetic, perhaps. And it's completely unrelated. So they are letting you down. So if you let them down by letting yourself starve in a reaction, going out and refusing to participate in that society. I say letting yourself starve because how are you going to feed yourself without pay, right? And if you starve all the way to death on that conviction, and it is a serious conviction, idolatry is the first commandment in evolved wisdom of history. So the society is better off, because if they did consider you valuable, then they have lost something by rejecting you out of their society. And they might not even realize that you are being rejected out of their society by their own immoral behavior. So you have a duty to yourself and the society you are a part of to refuse to accept any sort of harm as a sacrifice to be part of that society. The only one worthy of sacrifice is God. And if you are going to sacrifice to God, you will enter the kingdom of heaven. Life will be better for you and everyone else if you're more willing to sacrifice to God than to people who have deified themselves into the role of God by determining that they can tell you you have to do something unrelated to the work in order to get the work. They are price fixing and treating you like a slave by making you wear, say, a uniform. It's a violation of your freedom of expression, so to speak. Branding is for slaves and cattle. Traditionally, you brand your product because it's your product. If you brand a store with a brand name, you are saying it is not just. Traditionally, you would have a restaurant be called restaurant, so it would be a signage more than branding. So if you stamp, call it McDonald's, and it's a McDonald's, that's a slave of the corporation of McDonald's. which is perfectly fine. McDonald's is just a pseudo-physical entity, and it exists in a location and it has a certain set of orders. But the members of that, the employees, if they are not machines, why not? It's okay to have slaves. But if we have truly eradicated slavery, we should not be acting as if people are slaves. We should not be treating people in exactly the same capacity that we treat slaves. It's inappropriate. So you are doing yourself a service by rejecting that. So, and this came about because I was just pondering. Some industries require you to do grunt work unrelated to the job. So if you have a business that is at a certain location and they require you to do X job before they are willing to consider you for Y job, the promote from within mentality, then you are sacrificing yourself, and for the sake, you're sacrificing your time just to be allowed to have access. They are doing you and themselves and everyone else a disservice. Yes, it is. If a society requires you, they should harm even a single hair on your head. It is not moral or just, and therefore it is not moral or just for you to harm even a single hair on your head for that society. And the coin flip to that is, if you cannot survive in society, then it is appropriate for you to be willing to suffer outside of that society and sacrifice in the form of your own suffering for God, for the universe, for the being, for the betterment of the group, for the overall fundamental fabric of society. If society says it's just that's just a moral conviction, and it's not even arguable to me. It's fundamental. After so much consumption of many media and analysis of the data, that's what I come to. The most competitive society is the one where that freedom exists, where that free will is accepted and meritocracy rules. If you don't have the best people for the job, you're going to be outcompeted by those who do have the best people for the job, right? And that's to move forward in an honest, productive, building way. You do need to be willing to, I had a conviction I never used to like the concept of welfare, and I, for a long time, refused to accept it when I couldn't find work. And now it's like, okay, this is the system that has been created. I am willing to accept that on the counsel of those who I hold with some regard, for the sake of acknowledging my own limitations and my own that I might be wrong, right? So I apply, but it's even in that case, I'm the man who not if you shall not work, shall not eat, will not work. It's like, well, I will not work because they are being idolatrous and requiring me to commit idolatry, and I'm not willing to commit the first commandment, a sin of the first commandment, for them. That's corporate culture too, right? It's a cult mindset. I guess I've taken over this log. I'm supposed to be discussing just log items, but I just had to get that idea out. I guess it was eating me. Corporate cults, they deify the corporation, and the members of the corporation use your suffering if you don't participate as a weapon against you, to lay siege to you, to force you to volunteer for slavery. And that is idolatry. They are deciding they get to determine whether or not you suffer. And we have eradicated slavery. It's not something that we recognized it as not something that leads to the best society that's worth living in. So if you volunteer for that, then you admit that you don't deserve to live in the best society, and you get to live in the hell that you have volunteered for. You want to move out of hell into heaven, you need to follow the rules of heaven. If you have no problem matching your outfit for your own sake, that's one thing. But to be forced to do it because you have no other option, to be forced to do a certain job by limiting options through labor market control, it is idolatry and it is immoral, and you are better off to starve to death. And society is better off if you starve to death. And the consequences of that on the moral circuitry of the group will catalyze change if it gets to that point. The only thing that will catalyze the change is your suffering for God, for the betterment of the society. If you are willing to suffer for your society, be willing to suffer for the society that doesn't require that of you by rejecting it from all those who require it of you. Then you will be joining the society of those who don't require you to suffer. In your suffering, you will be raised up to that. And if that society exists, I mean, either society changes and survives, or it doesn't change and you get to be part of the slow descent into hell before you all die. And, I mean, I would rather choose a quick death for the sake of moral conviction and to try and help society than to participate in murdering and torturing my neighbors and community, which is what you're doing when you're forcing them to commit idolatry. I guess that's a piece on how humans think. It's a deep and fundamental part of reality that we have discovered throughout the ages. And these money worshippers look at the economy right now. They are reaping the seeds they sowed. They created a situation where they were extremely vulnerable, and now they are having to basically try and take over and tyrannize to hold on to it. The tyranny is not stable for long. That is a rule of tyranny. I guess I'm going over today. I can't go over too much. I have another stream. But this just feels like it needs to get out. I need to say it and think it, so I might as well think it on camera. Because I'm going to think it anyway, right? So that's a rule of tyranny. Tyranny is unstable. It requires such a hard, firm grip that cracks seep out until there's nothing left but a point that is overwhelmed by all that is seeped around it. So, if you want to, so it's like, I can't myself justify. I talked again about quitting my job to my former boss today because of my allergies. It's just, I cannot, on the way I said it, and the way it's been on weeks and sitting in my mind is, and it just finally clicked, right? I've been meditating on, I need the money. I mean, I can put up with a little bit of allergies. Maybe I'll do 1 day a week there, or 2 days, and just do a bare minimum enough to pay rent. But sacrificing my health to make some money is not moral. If I'm going to sacrifice my health, I might as well do it not doing it for the sake of joining that corporate society. That's just one society I'm rejecting. I'm not rejecting all society. They do have these aids that I disagree with on principle. I believe charities should be taken the place of welfare for sure, and I believe in a strong culture where the government isn't the sole bearer of it, it's the community and honest, active efforts of people in the community. But it is not the case, because those who are willing just pay their taxes. It's like a wait. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, I pay for that anyway. It's welfare." So, on the council of those who care, I have accepted it. But I'm not sure if I will be eating without working. I'm not sure if this counts as work. I will have to discuss whether or not being self-employed, starting a self-employed venture with the department. If they consider it, if they're willing to consider it, then I will maybe consider what they give me as a supplement to me making nothing. I guess I better stop. I've pushed it. That came out. I think that came out pretty well.